Guys, I'm gonna do the sketching tutorial in Photoshop. I brought in my photo, and first thing I'm gonna do is grab this tool, the second one down. If you have two columns, the second one down the right, and it's called the quick selection tool. And I can just drag it over my subject like so, and kind of drag it around. Whoa, I don't want to do that. Up here on the top, I can choose this select subject and see how Photoshop does it. Okay, it's not perfect. I don't like this on the hair. So I can change that. I can hold down the Alt key and kind of drag it down while holding the Alt key down. It's not going to be perfect, as it never is with this selection tool. I'm only using this one. I prefer to go around and actually make a selection myself. I'm only using it because this is going to be a sketch, so I'm not so worried about the outline of my subject. It's not like I'm pasting this into another, making a composite. It's not like I'm really adding a background other than the white background that I'm going to put on. I'm looking around, down around the hands, looks okay. This part is around the frame, but it's okay because it's kind of look like a it's gonna kind of look like I drew the sketch in a book or something. So from there, I can just come down to my layer mask, and if I click on that old TV screen looking on the layers panel at the bottom where it says add a mask and left click on it, it eliminates that background. Now I don't like these edges. I can adjust them by going up here to the top of the properties where it says select and mask. I'm going to click on that, and you'll see I have some options here. It says view. I'm going to say click view on black. If I did white or black and white, overlay, it should turn this black, but it's not for some reason. This is good enough. So I have these global refinements. I can smooth around the edges. If I go out there, it should smooth around her hair a little bit. It's not really doing too much. I have feather. If I take that all the way to the right, yeah, I don't want that. That's too blurry. I'm going to come back a little bit. And I have this shift edge. If I could take that to the right a little bit and wait and see. No, it's not doing nothing for me. Over here on the left, I have some tools, and I'm going to do the second one down. These tools are just in this panel. Okay, so it's called the Refine Edge Brush. I'm going to grab that one, and I'm just going to go around the edge of her hair. I'm left clicking and kind of going around the edge. You'll see that Photoshop needs to catch up with me a little bit. It's kind of lagging a little bit. Here it goes. And you'll see it's doing its little refining. It's not very good, in my opinion, but see those little shadows? I don't want those. I'm going to get right there. I'm going to drag on that top part a little bit. Over here on the left, you see those? I want to get rid of that. Same thing down here on this bottom, right down there. I'm going to try to get rid of that a little bit. And because this is a sketch, and I'm going to add that sketch effect, it'll be okay. Wow, look at that, go crazy. All right, so I've done that. I'm gonna hit OK at the bottom here. All right, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna make it a smart object. And I talked a little bit about this in class the other day. I'm making the layer smart object. And I'm gonna right click, and just like I right click, I duplicate the copy. Sometimes I delete the copy. Sometimes I go down here and flatten or merge the layer. There's one here that's called convert to smart object. I'm gonna click on that. And it turns my frame into a frame with another little tiny frame in that lower right corner, if you see it. And what it's doing is it's creating a little shell around my layer. So every filter, every blend, every adjustment I make is just gonna stay on this layer, if that makes sense. So what I want to do now is I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to right click, say duplicate, and I'm going to say OK. I'm going to rename these now. So the bottom one, layer 0, I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to call that layer original. And the top one that I just copied, I'm going to name that base. Okay, I'm going to go to the original and I'm going to duplicate it one more time. And I'm going to say duplicate. I'm going to drag that to the very on top of the base, and I'm going to double click on this and name this Inversion, I-N-V-E-R-S-I-O-N. And the reason I'm naming that Inversion is because I am going to invert this layer, okay? How do I do that? I can just press Command and the letter I on my iMac. On the Chromebook, I believe it's Alt and the letter I, or I can just come up here to Image at the top up here and go to Adjustments and click on Invert. And you see it changes my photo into that negative form. Like when I taught you guys about Nicephore Nips, the inventor of photography, and his cohort, Louis Daguerre, and then later Fox Talbot, these gentlemen who would get this kind of image and then pour a solvent over it to make the light area dark and the dark area light and invert it. So we're just doing the opposite of what they did right now for the sake of this assignment. I'm going to change the blend mode for normal up here to color dodge. And you say, wait a minute, my image is gone. Well, it's okay, because we're going to do something to that before that happens. I'm going to go to filter at the top, and I'm going to go down to blur. And in this window, I'm going to go down to Gaussian blur. I'm going to click on that. And if I take this lever right here and go all the way to the right with it, you would see that it just looks like my photo. If I go all the way to the left, it looks like when I started. So I'm going to start on the left side and kind of drag towards it. And my goal is to make this look more like a drawing at this point. Every photo is a little bit different. Yours won't be the same. You probably won't be on the same number that I am. I'm going to stop somewhere right about 30, and I'm going to say OK. All right. Now I'm going to add another layer. And I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, and add a black and white. Now I'm doing that because I don't think your photo will be black and white. I'm assuming you're going to bring in a color photo to this. I happen to bring in a black and white, if you noticed in the beginning. So I don't want to skip that step in case you need that for your color photo. So under here in this smart layer, smart object, I have smart filters, the black and white, I have the Gaussian blur, and the inversion. Later on, I can come back and click on any of these and adjust them if I need to. Okay? So that's it. I'm going to collapse these by clicking on this little lever, and I go back to having my 3 original layers. Now I'm going to apply a shading effect. So I'm going to duplicate the original copy again. I'm going to highlight it so it's darker, right click on it and say duplicate. I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to take this layer and drag it to the top. And once I have it to the top, I am going to add a shading effect to this. And I'm going to do that by going up into the filter gallery, which I think you guys might like. If you take one thing away from this assignment, it might just be this filter gallery with all its beautiful effects. So I'm going to go to the top where it says filter. Okay? And I'm going to go to filter gallery. Click on that. And you'll see it has several filters up here. It has, if I open these brush strokes, it would do that. I add this splatter effect, it would make that. I could do this Sumi E, but I don't want to do that. I want to go down to where it says sketch. And I want to go up to the top right where it says charcoal and click on that. Now you'll see that my photo is starting to look more like a charcoal drawing, right? Over here on the right, I have charcoal thickness, charcoal detail. I can change the thickness of that. And your goal with your photo is to make it look like a drawing as much as possible. I have detail. My detail I'm going to leave right about 4. And then my light and dark balance, I don't want too much light and I don't want it way too dark either. I'm going to find some happy medium in there. Alright, when I'm done, I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to change the blend mode to multiply. Okay. Now, I want to rename this from original copy to shading. There you go. All right, I am going to collapse that for a minute and I'm going to go to the original and duplicate this one more time. And I am going to go back to my filter gallery, but first I'm going to drag this to the top. Okay. And I'm going to rename this one lines. Just like that. And I'm going to add another black and white adjustment layer to it. So I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, Black and White, and hit OK. Now I'm going to go up to Filter. One more time, I'm going to revisit that same filter gallery. But this time, instead of charcoal, I'm going to close the sketch and I'm going to go to where it says Stylize right here. I'm going to click on that, and where it says glowing edges, I'm going to click on that. And you'll see that it really did some strangeness to my photo. These white lines you see, I want to define those a little bit. So up here where it says glowing edges, edge width, I'm going to drag that to the right a little bit and bring out a little bit more of those white lines. The edge brightness right below that, I can do that too. I'm trying to find a nice happy medium with this. That looks good. I'm going to say okay with that. And now I'm going to invert this. And the way we did it earlier, I told you could press Alt-I on your keyboard, or you can just go up to Image, Adjustments, and Invert. And I want to change the blend mode one more time to multiply. Okay, I'm getting pretty close. I'm going to go up to adjustments one more time. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments. And this time I'm going to go to Levels. Okay? Not curves, not invert, but levels. And I click on that, and I want to drag this input level down here on the bottom to 38. Yeah. And after I have that, I can come up here and mess around with my graph, the input levels here. I can grab this and go to the left a little bit, see how it changes. I can grab this one on the right, see how it affects my drawing. My drawing's looking more and more like a drawing, which is good. I can move the center one around. You'll see that on her face, it's kind of changing that a little bit. I'm gonna leave, I don't want those big blotches on there because it doesn't look like a drawing. So I'm gonna go right there. I'm gonna hit OK. Then I'm gonna right click on the layer to get the layer style window. So I'm just gonna double click on this layer real quick, and it pulls this layer style up. Down here I have this underlying layer, and then has this layer. Again, I'm just really trying to see what I can do to make it look more like a drawing. Now if you notice, when I moved on this layer and went to the right, you see her eyes kind of lighten up in there. I don't want all that darkness around the eyes, and so this is a good way to get rid of that. So I'm gonna do that. The underlying layer, I'm moving that, and not much is happening. I'm gonna go to the right. There we go. I think I'm going to make this a little bit like that. And I'm gonna hit OK. I'm satisfied with it. Okay. I'm gonna collapse this, and I'm gonna group all these layers together except for the original. So I can, I wanna highlight them all. And I do that by holding down the Shift key at the same time as I'm clicking them. So I'm gonna hold down my Shift key, click, 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 and I'm gonna go down to here to the Layers panel, and where it says create a group, it's the second one over from the trash can to the left. And if I hover over it, it says create a group. You can also just press Alt-G on your keyboard. I'm just going to click on this group, and I'm going to rename this. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to rename it Drawing Effect. Okay, good. So we did a lot. We have this grouped away. If I open them up, all that work is inside of there. I'm going to create another layer, and I'm just going to get rid of this background, that transparent checkerboard. I'm going to go down to add an adjustment layer, the half moon. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to the very top one where it says solid color. click on that, and I'm going to go put a white color in it. So my color picker, I'm going to go up to this very left edge, at the very edge, click on that and say okay. I'm now going to drag this layer down to the bottom. And we're looking pretty good. We're almost there. So finally, I'm just going to draw some lines on this. I don't like the top of this. I'm going to put some lines in there to make it look more like a drawing. So now remember, I can always go back and change some of these things by just opening my drawing effects, and I can go back into any of these and change these if I need to. But I am going to add some drawing lines. So how I do that is I'm going to create a new layer. And I'm going to bring that to the top. Oh, I didn't want it in there, sorry. I want it on top of that one. There we go. Yeah. And I'm going to grab a brush. So I'm going to go over to the left column, fourth one down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Grab a brush, and I'm going to come up here to where on the options panel and click on this. It has my brush size, it has my hardness. It also has my brushes that are in here, right? All of them are listed in here. I'll make this bigger so you guys can see that. Any brushes that I added, imported, are down here at the bottom. The general brushes are always at the top. I open that. And those, for the most part, you're usually using these top two. I want to go down to where it says dry media brushes. I'm going to click on that. And these brushes, it has the Kyle Ultimate Pencil Hard, Kyle's Drawing Box, Happy, Kyle's Ultimate Charcoal Pencil. So I'm just going to go out and look at them. I'm going to grab this one and I'm going to see if I can, what it looks like on my drawing. So it looks a little bit too intense. If I do it on my drawing, I don't want to see that one. So I'm going to choose a different one. I'm going to click on it. I think I'm going to try this pencil, Kyle's Ultimate Pencil Hard, and see what that looks like. Yeah. So I can come up here and make some little drawing lines to kind of create that more of a drawing effect, right? I can make some hatch marks like we do in drawing, going this way and that way. It's really just adding this detail. If I went around her hands like that, and maybe this, and I could give it that effect that, in fact, I did draw this, right? Maybe even put some up there somewhere. If it's too intense, don't forget that you can just come up here to, right next to your blend mode is this opacity, okay? And I can take that all the way down to where I don't even see those, right? Or I can just bring them up a little bit. So that would be my suggestion too. So if you start doing some drawing with a pencil around, just take that opacity down so they're not, distracting like that. And I can always erase this. I can grab my eraser tool and, oh God, look at that. I need to reset my tool, eraser tool. How do you do that? I'll tell you how you do that. You go up to the top and this little button up here, you click on that and it says Restore Default Brushes. It still didn't get rid of my brush. Why not? Brush tip. I don't want that either. Restore default brushes. I don't know, it's not working for me. I don't want that eraser tool. I'm gonna come back to this brush at least. My eraser tool is stuck. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I can always erase these off of here. So no worries, right? All right, and that concludes my tutorial for the drawing. Thank you, and you guys, as always, are doing some fantastic work. So thank you very much for that.